What made your sweet grandpa snap in front of the whole family? My grandpa was the gentlest man you'd ever meet. 82 years old, 5'6", still wore his wedding ring from 1967 and called my grandma sweetheart every morning over coffee. The kind of man who'd stop his car to help a stranger change a tire, even in the rain. Never raised his voice, never complained, just quietly took care of everyone around him. Last Sunday was my cousin's baby shower. Beautiful day. Everyone gathered on grandpa's back deck that overlooks the lake. He'd built that deck himself 15 years ago. Every board and beam perfectly measured and cut. Took him 3 months, working alone most days because he was too stubborn to ask for help. Said it gave him something to do after grandma started her chemotherapy treatments. My aunt brought her new boyfriend Derek, mid-40s tech executive, wore a polo shirt that probably cost more than my rent, kept checking his Apple Watch every 5 minutes like he was running some Fortune 500 company instead of sitting at a family barbecue. The kind of guy who thinks money equals intelligence and age equals incompetence. Derek immediately started holding court, explaining cryptocurrency to my teenage cousins and lecturing my uncle about his outdated investment portfolio. Everyone was being polite, but you could feel the tension building. My mom kept shooting warning looks at my dad, who was clenching his jaw harder with each condescending comment. When grandpa quietly mentioned he'd built the deck we were all sitting on, Derek actually laughed out loud. Not a polite chuckle, but a full-blown mocking laugh that made several people stop their conversations. With your arthritis, old-timer, come on. Time to let the younger generation handle the heavy lifting. He gestured around dismissively at the beautiful craftsmanship. This whole place could use some updating anyway. Get some real professionals in here. Bring it into the 21st century. Grandpa just nodded, kept eating his slice of vanilla cake that my cousin had made from scratch. His hands were shaking slightly, not from age I realized, but from pure restraint. I'd seen those same hands gut a fish, fix a carburetor, and build a treehouse that survived Hurricane Sandy. Derek wasn't done. He never was. My dad's your age, had to take his power tools away before he hurt himself. Seniors don't realize when they're past their prime. It's actually dangerous letting them use heavy equipment. He turned to my aunt with his patronizing smile. You should really talk to him about hiring contractors for any future projects. Someone could get seriously hurt on this old deck. The liability alone? That's when grandpa quietly stood up, brushed the crumbs off his khakis, and walked to his red Ford pickup without saying a word. We all watched him dig around in the truck bed, moving aside jumper cables and a toolbox that looked older than Derek. He came back carrying a sledgehammer. The conversation died instantly. 23 people suddenly found their potato salad fascinating. Derek, grandpa said, his voice calm as still water. This deck has 16 support beams, each one I hand-cut from pressure-treated lumber, each joint reinforced with galvanized brackets I installed myself. Every screw countersunk and sealed. The entire party went silent. Even the babies stopped crying, like they sensed something important was happening. You seem very concerned about safety and structural integrity. Want to see exactly how sturdy my amateur work really is? Before anyone could protest, before Derek could backpedal, grandpa raised that sledgehammer over his head and brought it down on the deck railing with the controlled force of a man who'd spent decades swinging hammers for a living. Crack. The impact echoed across the lake like a gunshot, but the railing didn't break, didn't splinter, didn't collapse. It split perfectly along the grain, clean as a surgeon's cut, exactly where grandpa had aimed. A textbook demonstration of wood grain and proper joinery. The deck beneath our feet didn't even vibrate. Grandpa rested the hammer against his shoulder and looked Derek dead in the eyes. 43 years as a union carpenter. These arthritic hands built half the houses in this neighborhood, including the one you're probably going to overpay for. Derek's face had gone completely white, his mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. The foundation under your feet will outlast both of us. But please, grandpa continued, his voice never rising above conversational level, tell me more about being past my prime. He set the sledgehammer down gently against his chair, sat back down, and picked up his cake fork like nothing had happened. Derek didn't say another word for the rest of the day, actually left an hour early, claiming he had important calls to make. My aunt apologized before following him out. Later, as we cleaned up, grandpa winked at me while coiling the garden hose. Sometimes you have to show your work, kiddo. The old man had been holding back his whole life. That day, he decided not to.